John Bolduc with the Nebraska State Patrol is about to hold a press conference regarding the incidents that took place in Laurel, Nebraska early yesterday and this morning. Now, 4 were dead after a house explosion. Fire took place on the same street. Authorities do have somebody in custody. That was after a shootout took place this morning. We're going to be taking you live to the scene right about now. What do we have there? Well, today's presser will be following yesterday's incidents that took place. There was a scene early this morning that happened in Laurel, Nebraska between 5 and 6 a.m. The Nebraska State Patrol engaged in an armed standoff with a suspect in the house on the same block as yesterday's incident. They kept asking the suspect to exit the house unarmed. That suspect was taken into custody at around 5:40 a.m. this morning. Now, the presser is up right now. We're going to be taking you live there right now.
Okay. I'll watch you.
Yep, we're getting ready to start. Why don't you head out and I'll
do
a mic.
Back, you got it.
Okay, so let's do another mic check real fast and just give people a chance to join. Do you need a white balance or was the wall good? Everybody okay? Okay, so we'll have Colonel Bolduc and Sheriff Karanda again speaking here with an update on events from earlier this morning, as well as an update on the overall investigation into the homicides in Laurel yesterday morning. So, Colonel?
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. My name is Colonel John Bolduc with the Nebraska State Patrol. Joining me today are Sheriff Larry Karanda from the Cedar County Sheriff's Office and Captain Dane Hicks, who's the troop commander of Troop B here in this area. We're here to announce an arrest and provide an update on the investigation into the homicides that occurred in Laurel yesterday. First of all, I want to acknowledge the indescribable grief that this community is experiencing right now, and that's going to be compounded by the betrayal of trust that they're going to feel because a community member here is alleged to have committed these crimes. Last night, NSP crime scene investigators obtained physical evidence at the 2 fire scenes that pointed to a suspect who lived right across the street from one of the fires. That suspect, Jason A. Jones, date of birth 2/28/1980, was taken into custody this morning shortly after 2:30 a.m. after investigators developed probable cause that this suspect committed these crimes. The NSP SWAT team arrived and performed an entry and search into the residence where he was located at 206 Elm Street. When he was arrested, it was discovered that he had serious burns over a large part of his body. Therefore, he was airlifted to a hospital in Lincoln. He's believed to be in serious condition. The victims in this case have now all been identified, and their relatives have been notified. So first we have the Twyford family, Jean and Janet Twyford, who are 85 and 86, and Dana Twyford, who was born in 1967, all 3 adults who lived in the residence on the 500 block of Elm Street. Michelle Ebeling was the 4th victim, who was located in the first house in the 200 block of Elm Street. She was born in 1969. We're still working to process the evidence that we collected at this scene. It's still very early in this investigation. Now I have to talk about what I consider the heroic efforts of the firefighters who were on the scene here yesterday. And I describe them as heroic because they had a very difficult task. We asked them to put out these fires while preserving the evidence of these crimes. They had to adjust their tactics in order to do that, and they did that with great efficiency. Their efforts preserved the evidence that led us directly to the suspect. It cannot be understated that this has been an entire team effort, not only by our law enforcement partners, our firefighters, but the entire community who has stepped up, offered assistance, cooperated fully with investigators. But the work is just beginning. We've made an arrest. We have a large volume of evidence to process, people to interview, and we have to prepare for entry into the justice system. There will be a trial. Therefore, a lot of the details we won't be able to discuss with you today. But we are pleased to announce that we don't believe at this time there is no more danger to the Laurel community or Northeast Nebraska as a result of this arrest. Again, we will try to answer the questions that you have, but we may be limited in what we can share at this very early point in this investigation. So I'd open it up to questions at this time. Sir.
Do you guys have any idea what a motive might be?
It would be premature to talk about motive. That'll certainly be something that we will discover during the investigation. Yeah.
What charges was he brought in on?
So he was arrested on probable cause for homicide. He's not been booked yet because he's in the hospital.
I was on scene this morning. I heard what sounded like maybe some gunshots, a couple explosions. Can you explain what your team was doing out there this morning?
So thank you for the question. The question was about sounds that came from the scene of the arrest. In a high-risk arrest, it is common to use flash diversionary devices, flash bangs, you might have heard them referred to. I wasn't there, but it's very common for us to use that as a distraction technique when we're trying to arrest a dangerous subject, and certainly someone suspected of committing homicides is considered a very dangerous person. Sir.
Tax records show that Mr. Jones owns the home directly adjacent to the first fire. Was he there the entire time from the time? I think you said it started around 3 a.m. the incident. Yesterday morning, was he there that entire time until today?
That's a detail that I don't think we know the answer to yet, but we'll certainly find that out in our investigation, sir.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, there was a choice to walk down and then not walk down with the suspect being in town, it looks, for a certain amount of time. What was kind of the process on lifting that, because the community kind of has some rumblings of feeling unsafe?
Sure, that's understandable. Of course, we're limited to the facts that we have at the time. Certainly with 60-plus law enforcement officers in town yesterday, we felt like the community was pretty safe. Yeah.
Can you talk about, you talked about there was evidence at the scene that pointed to this person. Any more details you can provide on that?
No, at this time, we need to preserve that evidence for the justice system, and that'll come out eventually, but it would be premature to talk about specific evidence at this time. Sir.
Were the gunshots exchanged? Did the subject shoot at officers, and did you guys shoot at him?
So the specific question is, was there gunshots exchanged? There were not. The suspect was taken into custody without any violence. Thankfully, no officers were injured during that arrest.
Do you expect any other arrests in this case?
We don't know at this time. It's premature. Again, we're very early on. Yeah.
Yesterday you mentioned that you were looking for a silver sedan driven by a black male. Are you still looking for that same person, or is that the person who arrested today?
We don't believe that's the same person, but we would like to talk to that person as a witness if we are able to identify them. But certainly, as the information has developed, that lead became less significant once we were able to get inside the residences and evaluate the evidence that was present. Did you have one over here? Yeah, sorry.
With the two separate scenes and the victims, have you guys been able to link them at all? Does this just seem completely random? Is there any connection?
Well, again, that goes to motive and how this all went down, and certainly we're going to discover that through the investigative process. But again, evidence from both scenes led us to the suspect, and that's why he is in custody at this time.
spoke to a neighbor who thought he heard gunfire, so I just want to clarify. So no gunfire was exchanged by police and no gunfire exchanged by the suspect.
That is correct.
Are there any other suspects?
We haven't identified any at this time. That's a possibility as we look into this, but right now, we believe that the community is safe with this person in custody. Yeah.
When do you expect to have the bodies examined and get more evidence that way?
So the examination of the bodies will happen today, and we have investigators working with the coroner's office who will be taking care of that task. So
Is the second house, is that considered a total loss?
I don't know the answer to that. Perhaps the fire officials will be able to answer that in time. I don't know that they've fully been able to examine that. It's still an active crime scene.
I know there's not much you can say possibly on this, but that second house, was the suspect there for a substantial amount of time holding them hostage, or does it seem like it was just in and out? Can you maybe go into detail on that?
Yeah, those are details that we wouldn't be able to go into at this time. Again, it's very early in this investigation. We'll have one or two more and then we'll, yes sir.
There is a report that a man fitting the description in a silver sedan was detained on the Kansas-Nebraska border. Were you guys able to stop this individual, or is that perhaps just a rumor?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular piece of information, I'm sorry. Somebody have one more? Okay. Sheriff, any last minute comments before we call it a wrap?
I just want to thank not only the media for assisting us with the investigation, getting out there, getting it, a lot of phone calls we received because of your efforts, and then foremost the Laurel Fire and Rescue community. People bringing food, good community. So.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you all.
Okay, I'll send out a news release with spelling.
And just to reiterate what he said a little bit, they do have a suspect in custody. That suspect is 42-year-old Jason Jones. Now, he lived across the street from one of the homes that was set on fire. He has not been booked yet because he's still in the hospital. He got a gunshot wound that resulted from the shootout that had happened this morning. And excuse me, sorry, there was no gunshot exchange, but he is injured, and so he's at the hospital, but before he will be booked.